The following audio recording has been designed for learning purposes only. Do not share, distribute, or provide any type of copies, or this audio lesson will not be made available to you. Good luck with today's lesson.
A reminder, people tend to forget. So it's a long weekend we've got going on here. But with it being a long weekend, don't forget, if you have not started reading through scripts, please start the process sooner than later. It takes longer than you think. And sometimes some people have already told me, gosh, I started reading it, the story sounded really good, it was going great, and then it just kind of, maybe not exact words, but kind of just didn't work out. If that's the case, I mean, it is somebody's work, so we want to respect that. If you find some way you can manipulate it to fit a couple things, our class, to make it viable to shoot on campus, the size and time constraints that I'm talking about, remember 3 to 5 minutes, so 3 to 5 pages. If you can sort of massage, maneuver it, manipulate it a little bit to make it work for the class, then absolutely. And then what we'll do is, in the credits, we'll make sure that we give that person mention that the story started from this individual and it started from this script, but then we morphed it to fit our class needs. So that way we're giving credit where credit's due. Or it might branch off. You might think, wow, this is a great idea. I could tell it in a different way that might be better suited for class, and I could sort of rewrite it in my own way. Obviously, you don't want to take anybody's stuff, right? Make sure it's changed enough that it becomes yours. But certainly, if that's something that you want to do, by all means, we can do that. So I don't want you just to scrap something that you might find that could work, but start reading. If you haven't, read. Yes, ma'am.
I avoided script that you cannot use it.
You avoided the scripts. Did it say you couldn't use it?
The one that you cannot use or reproduce.
Oh, okay.
I avoid those. I just have one that say that copyrighted 20 something.
So that's a good thing. Chelsea brings up a good thing, because sometimes there's free to use, but they don't want you to reprint them. And if you publish them somewhere, they want some specific needs met, like the name of the screenwriter, where the story originated, those things. Sometimes they'll be very specific in how they want it.
I avoided those.
Okay.
And I found 5 of them that didn't have that message.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
But I would never steal it.
No.
And I felt like that it won't use the one that say you need permission.
Mm-hmm.
And the one you cannot use, especially the one that that said not even educational.
We've had some where they wanted permission, and sometimes it's faster than others. I've reached out to those people, and sometimes we've been lucky, and sometimes their email doesn't work, or whatever, they haven't updated their information.
I'm not sure how long that would take.
Yeah, it does. You just never know. So that's a good thing you avoided it. So yeah, if you haven't started reading, please start reading so that you can get on there. And because again, I want it to come from you guys, and the more you have a say of what you'd like to produce, I think you have a little bit more fun doing something that you think, wow, this could be cool. And that's not to say if the class doesn't end up choosing the ones that you like at all, that's something for you to have in your pocket, right? As you start to build collaborations and people to work with, gosh, you guys all got a couple of hours on the weekend. Hey, I've got an idea. You guys want to get together? This is a lot of the reasons for these classes, to build that social network and help network to kind of figure out, oh yeah, we had this class together. I remember you ran a camera. Could we get together and do something? That can be very helpful. So keep that in mind, because that's always something that, hey, if you find something that you like, you can always do it. All right, so I think, let's see. I started talking and I didn't get going here. Wednesday. I can't believe it, you guys. It's the end of August. It's sad. Tasha's here. Midland is here. Are we all here? Where's Khalil? Oh, Khalil's here. I missed you you are not in your Spider-Man uniform. Nikki, Drake is here. Chelsea, Corey is here. Joshua, Abdul is here. Abdul's asleep. Wake up, Abdul. Sherman, Aaron, Jose. Jose is here. Just for you. Daryl, Aman, and Chandler. All right, wonderful. Okay. Jose. So what I wanted to do today is get you guys moving and get you guys doing something. And again, part of this week is sort of refreshing. So one day we did some refresh on thinking about some of the different shots that are called out. hopefully that helped refresh some memories, right? We played a little game just to have a little bit of fun and sort of refresh at the same time some of the same shots. Today, I want to get you guys doing something and using the camera. So if you have your own camera, great. Yeah, you happy? Pumped up? Double pump. So I want to get you guys doing something and getting out there and putting it to action, right? We can talk all day, or you guys know probably I could talk all day, but it's a lot of fun, and I think it reinforces a little bit more when we talk a little bit and we do a little bit, yeah? So, so let's talk about the 180 rule. What do we know? Yeah, Aaron. I saw Aaron first.
180 line is basically the curve of how to shoot two subjects together. Like the 180 line is the side of which is the I don't know what it is, but I can't really. It's really hard for me to read.
Okay, let's pause. Pause. Are you still going?
I'm trying to
Okay. Hang
Okay.
tight, Chandler. Hold on. I think I saw Corey next. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, recording two subjects from different angles with keeping the continuity of the shot.
Okay. So Corey, if you didn't hear him, Corey's so quiet.
Oh, I could have said it loud.
Yeah, no. So Corey said keeping the continuity of recording two individuals in a shot that interact with each other and making sure that both shots are continuous so you can edit between both of them. You got it. Chandler, you had something?
Well, I was about to say the 180-degree line is filming two subjects in that same. Well, you've never crossed the 180-degree line.
Okay.
Filming those two subjects, while not crossing the line yourself. That's the method.
Okay. Anyone else have something to add? Yeah, Chelsea.
How will you break that rule?
How would you break it? Well, first let's talk about making sure we keep the rule.
Oh, I have the rule. Not only keep the continuity, but to make sure that it flow nicely.
Yeah? Corey?
Make sure it flows nicely
Mhm.
because if the subject switches sides of the video, then it can confuse the audience about who's talking.
Yep.
And who's listening.
Absolutely. Anyone else heard it called something else? In other classes or just in general, looking, other people talking about it? Most people know it as the 180 rule. Is there anybody else have heard something else, perhaps? Hidden in the depths of our memory? In the shadows? No? So other people, you can often hear it called the action line, okay? So you guys all were kind of in the same realm. If you were kind of going, where was this information in my brain? Hopefully this thing works. Here we go. Okay, so here's something. Hopefully I can get it going. Maybe the other way, better. All right, I'll turn the light off for just 2 seconds, just so we can see it. So when two people, the reason why I bring this up as part of our kind of refresher, remember, have everyone get on board. When we're in groups, right? Everyone will have a role. And again, I'll repeat this because I want everyone to remind each other that the goal is to help one another. So if you're running camera and another person in the group says, hey, could I just do a quick look at your shot and frame composition before we hit record? Accept that as another set of open eyes to really make sure that they're seeing that you guys are both going to record something that you want, right, for the group's goal. Don't have it, well, what are you doing? You're not the camera operator. I'm the camera operator. No. Have it be open. Let yourself be open to another set of eyes. They might see something that you omitted. If your focus is just on the subject, but things are in the way, that other set of eyes could go, oh, that looks kind of distracting. We have the garbage can. God bless you. The garbage can sitting right next to our actor. Maybe we should move the garbage can or move our actor, right? Little things make a difference. Whatever's in your, in the background that you didn't intend, you have to make sure you're watching and making sure that everything you show the audience and every shot that you plan to shoot is intended. If it's just the oops, oftentimes those oops could hurt you and hurt the story, maybe not transcend the story as well. So make sure that it should be that free, open, hey, can I get another set of look? Maybe not every shot, but help each other. So because a lot of our scripts will have on-screen dialogue, and people interacting with one another, I thought we should talk about this and make sure everyone's on board. So yes, the 180 rule. So you have two people, and they look like little, circles, but they're people, right? Top view is a little easier to see. They're,
Their feet,
what's it?
the circles in front of them, it's their hands, their feet.
I don't know. Maybe both.
Part of the feet.
Maybe it's both. So they're sitting at a table interacting with one another. The line that you see, I'm going to turn the light up just a little bit because there's a bit of a glare. The line that you see going between them, or in the middle, dead center, kind of impaling them, basically, that's the line, that's that 180 line that we've been talking about, and also it's called the action line. So when people are interacting and they're talking to each other, normally, depending on your culture, typically we look at each other's eyes to identify how that person is feeling, about what they're saying, and so forth. So I'll turn the light off for a second. You can kind of see where the cameras should be, okay, when you're drawing, when you're setting up your shot. So this is obviously 3 cameras, or one being placed in multiple locations, and I'm going to kind of push you guys into one camera only because it makes it a little harder, and I want you to think through all your pieces. So if you only had one camera, budget is small, you only have one camera, what do you do? So how would you go about doing it? Just anyone. Yes, Joe.
You could place a small pieces of some tape on the ground where your camera's going to be with the tripod.
Okay, it's a great idea.
And then, yeah, basically that's what I'll do.
Mm-hmm.
Have it all measured out before.
Measured out, okay. That's a great idea. So especially if you're planning on time, what else would you do? You have one camera, you have 2 people, you have to record their conversation. What other things come to mind and how you would position? Obviously, if you had 3 cameras, pretty easy, right? Or easy or. Easy or.
I'm pretty sure the main thing is keeping the subject still and in place, like at the same shot on the other angle.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say if you shot subject A, like over the shoulder shot,
Mm-hmm.
then you can make sure everyone stays in a place and you can switch sides.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe over the angle for the B. But,
Yep.
yeah, I think the main thing is keeping everybody like same place.
Which sounds easy, right? But unless they're robots, it's really hard to keep people in the same physical location. So we're going to have practice with this today. I want you guys to think about a couple things. Mainly, right, even if we're doing a story we talked about last class, normally has an establishing shot that lets you know what? Yep. Where it's taking place, gives the audience a feel for this story is happening at this location. So even in a setup where 2 actors are interchanging information and communicating with each other, you still want to you just want to just jump in, right? That you got to set the shot up in some way, shape, or form. Maybe one person's already seated, or maybe they're both seated, and then you pan the room to locate them in that room, right? And that could be thus your establishing shot. So with one camera, what other things do we have to consider beyond making sure people stay in their spot and making sure you mark the floor so that way you can move sort of in the same general angle on each person? Chelsea?
The length of the shot, like, is it a medium
Mm-hmm.
shot? Is it a long shot? Is it
The shot type?
medium close up?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah.
Any kind of camera angles?
Or varying it, right? Maybe you guys aren't paying attention too much when, if you're watching something just for fun, but when actors are interchanging and communicating with one another, how often do they change the camera shots? In the sense of a medium shot, medium close up, close up. Do you guys recognize that at all, or sometimes?
Two
Two cents.
One or two before they switch the shot.
And we-
Switch the shot,
and
yeah.
we seen this shot 2 times, like maybe to a medium shot to a medium close up.
Yeah, so they're not always staying really static in the sense of the same physical frame, so that's good.
It equates no. It equates no. It equates not really not out of balance or imbalance.
Yeah, you want to switch up a little bit, right? Because when we get closer, another thing to remember, I don't know if we mentioned it Monday, when we get closer to our subjects, what does it tell the audience when we're closer and we're tighter on our subjects?
It's more serious, I guess.
Yeah, you get more information, right? And if we get really into your eye, like if we get into your eyebrow and eyeball, and you do like a, You know, all of a sudden we know Joe means business, right? Oh no, it's going down. He didn't like what the other person said because his eyebrow went and twitched up, right? That could be accentuated. I know it's silly. I don't know. Can you do that? Oh yeah, see, I knew it.
I can only do one side though. I can't do both though. You know.
Me
like,
too.
Do what?
An eyebrow twitch. Okay, that'll be the second assignment we'll do. No, who can do double twitch? Yeah, but think about even anything where they try to dramatize like what's going on in the story, or they said what? That's blasphemy, right? Almost always it'll be a close up to really engage the audience into that person's really upset by what the other person has said. So using that to our advantage, using the body language of the actor is really helpful as well. So. The 180, right? We want to stay, so once we establish this line of sight, the 180 is really helpful, right? So that when we do this, when our camera's here and we're recording this person, the main focus is the person on the right, right? The actor on the right. However, we might get an over-the-shoulder, kind of back of the head, ear situation on this actor on the left. This is often called a dirty single, right? Or an over-the-shoulder that's dirty, because this person, although they're not physically dirty, they're sort of dirtying up the shot in a sense, even though the focus is on that person, okay? So keep that in mind. How much of this person are we wanting to see or needing to see for the shot to make sense, especially if we're focusing on what that person is saying, okay? It's easy in theory. If you have robots or dummies to sit there, it's much harder to do when people naturally move, right, in between takes and talk. When you have actors that that are new to acting or just reading lines or trying to remember lines on the fly, it's helpful for them to actually engage in a natural conversation because it feels more comfortable if you're just talking versus this is my line, this is what I have to say. If you just say it and it comes more natural, you can cut them together a little bit quicker. What happens in normal natural conversation that is really hard, although not really hard, but you should try to avoid when you're doing sort of this conversation where you want to cut between one actor versus another?
I want to say hand movement or because I don't know. It's like say if you have to switch teams, they have to keep that same hand position, and it's hard to it's hard to even keep your hand still.
Yeah, absolutely. That, and when we naturally talk to people, do we always wait for the person to finish their sentence before we jump on with our response?
No.
Not normally.
Normally, depending on.
Well, it depends on who you're talking to, right? If you're talking to grandma, I would imagine you'd wait for her to finish, and then. But if it's your buddy and he says something, oh no, right? You might jump in right on top of him and sort of that wreaks havoc for the person. Yes, it creates natural communication, natural talking and speaking to one another, but it wreaks havoc for the person that is running the audio because then they have to make sure when they come back to you, you're still in that, oh, I can't believe you said that that's the worst movie ever, or whatever. Your reaction shots can be a little tricky. So when working with non-actors, you have to sort of hope that they can play off each other a little bit and do some things where it can work. Once you cut, it doesn't look so obvious that you had it was a third or fourth take, okay? So once you develop that 180 or that action line, the idea is that each actor's eyeballs will interact and change and look the same as you switch between and edit between the conversation. If you end up breaking it, which means once you establish who they're engaging with and who they're talking to, if you decide to then say, oh, you know what, forget the 180, I'm moving on the other side and getting them from the other person. This has to be done with caution. This has to be done on purpose because if it's done just on an oops, oftentimes the audience will just get jarred. And maybe you've seen some movies where this has happened. There's a lot of it happening. You think, wait a minute, what just happened? Something's weird, and maybe you catch it right away, or you just don't catch it, but there is something that's strange that you just saw, but you can't identify it. It's often because they've broken that 180 rule. So today, what I want to do is get you guys to think about keeping it and really trying to set up one camera and get multiple actors having a conversation and really identifying, the struggles of doing that, okay? It's not, it's much easier said in theory. It's a lot harder when you've got a lot of cooks in the kitchen, if you will. the idea is that I'm going to give you one camera. So with one camera, I was talking about this earlier, or even if you have two of the same cameras, when they both are recording at the same time, if the same camera is recording, what normally happens to the file? What does the file look like? Looks like something. Yeah, Corey, you're on it. Yeah, yeah. So, okay, let me rephrase. You have two of the same cameras running and recording at the same time. Let's say we have the left side and the right side running. We come back to the lab. We plug both of them in. What are they going to look like on the computer? Ah, yes. Yes, thank you. That's where I was going. I was like, giving you little breadcrumbs. It's okay. See, I rephrased. I gotcha. So yes, the files are going to be physically, they might not be named the same, but they might have the same number and name distinction because of their same brand and camera model, okay? You think this is not a big deal. However, this is the perfect opportunity for things to get switched, right? So if you have, once we get into shooting our scripts, I'm hoping that I'll be able to give each group 2 cameras, but we then have to be very careful in making sure we label one a primary camera or A, or give it a number distinction, and then the secondary camera either B or another number distinction, so that we don't cross lines between what is what. And you often, because we only have 3 hours, we will often shoot more than one day for more, for pretty much all of our projects. So you'll have to then separate it by shoot days as well, okay? So the camera assistants and will all be helping out in that regard. That way when we go to edit, if the camera assistant designates camera A, day 1, camera A, day 1, camera B, then they can do the same for camera or day 2 and keep that same distinction so everyone understands what is shot when, okay? So that's really important as well to note. So for today, I want you guys to focus on the 180 rule with one camera, but then a couple ways you can shoot it, right? Let's think about how you could shoot it. One camera. How would you shoot a conversation? I won't just give it to you. Over the shoulder. Run me through how you do it.
Oh well, as I said before, I would use some tape, place stills on the ground for each side and the angle of what I want to do, yeah, I would just after when one person's done speaking, when I want to move over to the other shot, that's when I would move over, and so they would just have the conversation one shot at a time. I guess one sentence or one.
So let me ask you this: would they say, "I'm going to work today"? You would record that, stop, physically switch your shot to get the next person, saying,
Yes.
"You're going to work? I thought we were going to the zoo." I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you would switch between each line.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have another way they would tackle it? I'm asking. Yeah, Corey. Oh, and Josh. I'll get you, Joshua. Sorry.
I would record each angle, like for the whole scene, just like lay the whole scene out.
Okay.
Probably at a slow pan over the shoulder shot, because like if the camera's just stationary, then the shot gets boring. So you always want the camera moving. So maybe have an over the shoulder of subject A, like slightly pan into the right or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, then again, like just record the whole scene from both angles, so like I can cut it like whenever I want.
All in one chunk. Okay. Different opportunity, Joshua.
Pretty similar to what Corey said. I would just run it through from each camera location
Mm-hmm.
and then stitch it all together in post.
Perfect. Aaron.
I have this one idea where where I am right now, I'd be the camera, and then I'd be looking at these two, and then sometime during the conversation, I'd cut to a close-up of him during the conversation.
So you'd keep like a wide, like this middle camera here, a wide shot of them, but on an angle maybe?
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
This is just one of the ideas that during the
Yeah. No, this is good. But then, so another reason why the 180 line and the action line is there to really make sure that your audience is aware of the spatial relationship between the two people talking, right? And where they're at and where they're physically taking up space. So good. I'm glad. This is good. I like the refresh. I like to hear different aspects because, we have different ways to do a lot of the same things. So I don't know why I have this in here. Let us do just that. So I want to use some of the time. So what I have is, I'll turn the light on. I have I found this online. It's a very simple dialogue scene between two characters, which of course can be interchanged. So here's what I want to do. Let me see. Oh boy. Sorry, that one gets extra. My saliva. It's a simple one. Have you guys pass that down? Very simple stuff. Because I wanted to get us all a chance to do just this. So 4 for you. And Chelsea, pass it that way. And okay. 2, 3. I don't know. 1, 2. You got one more? Oh, we'll do. You give them both away, and then I'll give you. Thanks, M2. All right. So it's a very, very simple one. Oh, I'm sorry, Nick. I apologize. You can't get one. Okay. Thank you. All right. So can I get 2 people to just read them through, because that way we can read them as a class? Somebody be Victor and someone be Sam. Joshua? Yeah, Drake, go ahead.
Hi Sam, long time no see.
I was in the neighborhood, so I thought I'd drop by.
Come on in, take a seat. Would you like anything to drink? I have Sprite or Pepsi.
No, I'm good for now. So how's it been?
Oh, not bad. And you?
Oh, I'm doing okay, but college has been really hectic these days, and I haven't had time to relax.
What's your major anyways?
Interior decoration.
Well, what do you want to do once you graduate?
I haven't decided for sure, but I think I'd like to work for a hotel or designing agency in the area.
Well, when I first started college, I wanted to major in English language and literature, but I realized I might have a hard time finding a job using the language, so I changed majors to computer science.
Oh, I don't know who says that.
Still Victor, guys.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it might still be.
Oh, with the right skills, landing a job in computers should be as difficult.
Yeah, okay, so. The right skills landing a job in the computer industry shouldn't be as difficult.
How do you pay for college?
Well, fortunately for me, I received a 4-year academic scholarship that pays for all of my tuition and books.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, how about you? Are you working your way through college?
Yeah, I work 3 times a week
Oh, as a.
as a bartender.
Sorry.
How do you like your job?
It's okay. The people are friendly, and the pay is not bad.
All right, good. So very simple dialogue that I want you guys to all go through. So obviously there's some little hiccups as Victor is up twice. There's a couple little things that we'll have to adjust, but that's okay because most scripts will have to adjust in some way. So here's what I want to do. And we're all here, so it's perfect. So I'll give you guys all this. So here's what I want to do. I have group 1, and so what I want to do is spend a little bit of time in smaller groups. So what I mean by this is group 1 is Joe and Abdul. You guys are going to work together for a little bit of time, and then you guys are going to do with the same script. Everyone's got the same 2-person dialogue. How are you guys going to tackle recording this? What kind of shots?
One to act and one to operate the camera.
So hang tight. You're almost there. We're almost with each other. So yeah. So Joe, everyone's going to get together with their first-person partner there that I have kind of grouped, and then figure out how they're going to tackle what we've just read. Okay. Then the other 2 people in that group, so Drake and Corey, are then going to be they're actors for that particular one. Okay. And then one person's going to be running a camera, or you can change cameras, and then the other person should be taking notes in the sense of making sure that the actors are saying the correct information. If they say them incorrectly at the end of the take, we should be checking that and redoing that so it can be set up.
The wrong line, you got to make sure to say cut.
Yep, and give them the correct line. Obviously, we're not working, I don't think anyone's a professional actor in here or working towards that. So, be a little generous. Obviously, there's some error there, but, we can switch up names, of course, if that makes it easier too. That's not a big deal. But that's what I'm looking to do. On campus, probably indoors because it's pretty kind of sticky out. But I guess it could change. So then I'll give you one camera, and then once that one team becomes that the actors are done, then the next group then switches, they could switch locations, and then they become their actors. Does that make sense? No, maybe, yeah? Clear as mud?
Clear as, yeah.
So group one, so Joe and Abdul are gonna work together for a little bit. So you're gonna work with your person that you're closest to, work for a little bit and try to figure out how you're gonna tackle. Some people are better at drawing out storyboards, other people would wanna do shot lists. I just want you guys to have a plan. Where are we gonna go? And are they gonna be seated? Are they just gonna stand? How are we gonna introduce Victor and Sam, right? Sam. How are we going to introduce them? Is Sam already going to be seated? You guys might have to change the line because it sounds like he's asking him for something to drink. Oh, but he says no. So it's fine. If he said yes, it would be a problem because then I don't want you guys having to spend money on getting something to drink. So it's perfect. He says no, so it's fine. So where is he meeting up? It could be that he's walking by. Maybe Victor is sitting there reading and he happens to look up and Sam walks by. And he says, hey, Sam, how's it going, right? And then that becomes the conversation. So I want you to establish where they're at, who they are, what they're doing, and then what do they do? They sit? How are you going to have them sit, right? What kind of shot will you have them in? And then let's remember that 180 line. Once you identify that, let's keep our cameras in that way. Try to shoot with one camera. I would shoot all one-sided first, and then the other person, keeping it simple. But again, if you're running that one camera, that other person in your group should be taking notes as to, okay, great take, but you said Mountain Dew instead of Sprite, okay? That's that role, okay? But help each other out. If you're not sure with the camera, make sure that, ask your group mate, I'm not sure if I white balance right, I'm not sure if I focus on it right. Couple of places on campus we could do it. In S lobby, we have the north lobby that has a couple of tables and chairs there. Obviously, all groups can't go there, but north and south lobby have a couple areas where we could gather. It could be a classroom, but you probably just want your own little spot so you can focus on that. Okay? Yes.
What if it went outside or something?
So if it's outside, Chelsea, it might rain today, and you might be like sweltering. It's up to you. If the group wants to do it, then you guys can do it.
It might rain.
I would say no, but your call. Yeah. Okay. Well, then hang on to that location you don't want to reveal it, because someone else might take it. So I will give you guys some storyboards or some shot lists. However you want to, just a rough idea. Spend a little bit of time kind of planning how you're going to set them up. It's really once they sit or once they start engaging in conversation. There's really no movement, right? So really you just have to figure out how are you going to introduce these characters, what's the end game there, and then once they start talking, is it seated, is it standing, and how are you going to tackle that? Obviously, you'll have to switch your framing and angle if they're seated or standing, okay? Should be fun. I'm excited. And then of course, switch some things, obviously, if you're the little errors in the script, if you need to. So if you guys want, remember there's really kind of 3 rooms. We have the sound booth room that a group could be in there. I would gather with your first group mate and get some ideas of what you're going to do, how you're going to get it done. Spend a little bit of time and then go to shoot. I'll get cameras ready while you guys are setting up.
Okay, also if any of you are wondering why I just got up for a second, I was going from location.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know what you were doing, actually. I appreciate that. Okay, so it should be fun. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Oh, does everyone know their group mate? If you don't know, it's time to know each other. But that's another reason why. I'll give you guys this too.
Good luck with today's lesson.